If you're familiar with this channel or me, you know that my husband and I and our 2 cats lived in Arizona for 2 years. We learned quite a bit about spiders, scorpions, centipedes, and crickets. Let's chat about it. First, I want to say that in my opinion, toxic pesticides are way overused, and that's why I wanted to give you some ideas of some natural things that you can do to keep pests away. My first tip for all natural pest control: cats. Of course, you have to love cats, but our 2 cats, they are indoor cats, which I highly recommend, or they probably won't last long. Our cats don't love each other, and so when we see them together hanging out, we know something's up, and we started to see that a few times, and so we would investigate, and they would be staring down a scorpion or a cricket or a spider or a centipede. They had no interest in eating it or killing it. They might bat it around a couple of times, but they would just follow it and watch it. So that was a signal that we knew that there was something that we needed to take care of. Otherwise, if we didn't have those cats, we probably wouldn't even know about the creepy crawlers that we have found in the house. My suggestion to you is to keep empty jars under the sink so that when your cats do find something, or when you find something, you can just scoop it up into the jar and let it out outside, or maybe even down the road. Let me tell you, the centipedes in Arizona are nothing like the centipedes in New Hampshire. The ones in New Hampshire look like walking eyebrows. The ones in Arizona look like wild, colorful snakes with legs. We had one that was probably about 6 or 7 inches long in our house. They like humidity, so keep that in mind. We did find it in the kitchen. So that was tip number 1. Tip number 2 is probably the most important, and that is sealing your house. You could seal your house yourself, or you can have a professional come in. There are pest control companies that will do that for you. Now, one thing that I noticed about the house that we were renting is the weather stripping was coming off the front door, and that was leaving a gap, and so creepy crawlies can come in that way. And there's a bug that I didn't mention, and that's cockroaches. Those things can come up the drain. I think they're called sewer roaches or something. It doesn't matter how nice of a house you live in, any house can have issues. So you can keep the drains closed, especially if it's like a tub that you don't use very often, if that makes you feel better. So tip number 3 for natural pest control would be essential oils, and that is something that I know a lot about because I've used them for many years and I've given educational workshops on them. I use them a lot in my yoga studio. So before we moved, I started researching which essential oils would be good for scorpions. I learned that cedarwood oil is an oil that they don't like. So we picked up a 1-gallon sprayer at the hardware store, and I would fill it with maybe a half a bottle of essential oils and then the rest water, and I would spray the perimeter of the house outside, the foundation area and the river rocks and the garden area. But when we first moved into the house, we didn't see anything for several months. We didn't have any issues. We may have seen a scorpion outside, but that's about it. Anything we saw was pretty sporadic. It wasn't consistent. We didn't have a huge issue, but keeping up with spraying the essential oils outside of the house was a huge help. And there were 2 other things that I did with the essential oils. The second thing was my bedtime routine. One of my biggest fears was having something crawl into my bed and sting me while I was sleeping, because that actually happened in a home we rented for a week when we were on vacation. I don't know what it was. I called poison control and they thought maybe it was a brown spider, and it could have been. It could have also been a scorpion. But I think how it ended up in my bed was when we would go in the backyard to the pool, we would let our towels dry outside because everything dries very quickly in Arizona outside in the summertime. When I came in, I threw my towel on the bed, and so who knows, maybe something crawled on the back side of the towel and went inside with me and then crawled into my bed. So I woke up in the middle of the night itching my ankle. It was burning and stinging and it hurt and it itched, and I got up and went into the bathroom to see what was going on, and I had a huge bubble, like a venom bubble. But it did freak me out enough to change my habits. Make sure that you shake everything off before you bring it in the house. That includes your shoes too. The second thing I do with essential oils is I have a little glass spray bottle that has water and different essential oils in it. So I would spray my linens, I'd spray my sheets and my bedspread, and I would spray all around the bed and anywhere where I might go in the night, like to the bathroom to pee. And the third thing I did with essential oils to keep pests away was adding them to my cleaner. And I use non-toxic cleaning products because water and add some essential oils, usually peppermint, because spiders don't like it. So those are the 3 things that I would do with essential oils. I strongly believe that consistency is key in having success with them. My 4th idea of something that you can do for non-toxic pest control is food grade diatomaceous earth. It's the food grade version that is non-toxic to humans and pets. If you have a serious problem, you can add it to your toolbox. And basically you're sprinkling this white powder. We've done it in the perimeter of the house. I believe how it works is it dries up the exoskeleton of the bug and kills it basically. So if you're having an emergency, it's another tool that you can add if you want to avoid toxic chemicals. So 5 is get rid of the food source. What is it that you're finding? What do they like to eat? Eliminate that. So you might have to do some Googling to figure that out. Number 6, keep the doors shut. And if you have any cracks in your screens or anything like that, make sure those are taken care of too. I know people who will go hang out outside and they'll leave their door wide open to get some fresh air, but that's a great way to get bugs just crawling into your house. I also noticed where we lived, many people left their garage doors open all day, and anything can just crawl right in. We've seen moths in our garage the size of birds. You don't want those in your house. And a little tip for you, moths do not like lavender. I know the traditional way to keep moths away is with mothballs, but those are toxic. They smell disgusting, and lavender actually smells good. So if you have an issue with moths, which they'll go where the light is at night, so if you leave your outside light on, or if you leave an inside light on and there is a crack in your screen, they'll get in and then they'll get into your clothes and eat your clothes. My 7th tip is don't leave clutter around. And by clutter, it could be anything like shoes outside. Scorpions can crawl in those. They can crawl underneath them and shade themselves. I found a scorpion underneath my pool floaty. I'm glad I checked. I know to check things if I leave them somewhere. Underneath my plant pots outside. Don't leave piles of laundry on the floor. I've talked to people on airplanes from Arizona who would say that they find scorpions in their laundry. We never did, but we did find a scorpion in our closet. There was one crawling up the side of my suitcase. My 8th tip for you is go with an organic or natural pest control company. They do exist. That has been our experience. I hope it was helpful to you, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments.